Hey guys, welcome back. As I mentioned at the very end of my most recent video, I've recently hit 500 subscribers here on YouTube, and I am blown away by that, and I am so very grateful for that. I do currently have a giveaway running, and it is on my Instagram channel, which I will link down below. It's going to be open until August 1st, so if you want to enter, head on over to Instagram and you will see the post there. But what I thought I would do for today's video, because I have gained quite a few subscribers in the last couple of months, I thought I would do a 50 facts about me kind of video. I have actually created a list of 50 facts, but I tend to get a little chatty if you haven't noticed. So as I'm giving a fact, I will probably give additional facts. So you're probably gonna get like 362 facts about me, but at any rate, without further ado, let's just do this. Okay, so filming Kara has every intention of popping numbers up on the screen as we hit different facts, but editing Kara is probably going to regret that decision. So as you're watching this, you will see which one of us actually won out. Let's just start talking and we'll see where that gets us. First fact, I was born on June 9th, 1980. That makes me 38 years old and it makes me a Gemini. I was born in St. Catharines, Ontario, which is just sort of north of Niagara Falls, and I actually spent a lot of time in Niagara Falls as a child, so today when we go, it doesn't really seem all that amazing to me. Yes, it's cool, but I spent so much time there as a child that it doesn't really have that same appeal that I'm sure it does to a lot of the tourists who are there. I was raised by my maternal grandparents. I've never met my biological father, although he actually does live in the same city that I now reside in. And I was friends with my biological mother for quite some time, but we have fallen out of communication in the last couple of years. Nothing major happened, it just kind of drifted apart. Growing up, I was the only child in the household. I do have half brothers and half sisters, some of whom I've met, others I have not, but they did not live with me, so I do consider myself to be an only child. I did have two pugs growing up, not at the same time, but they were my pseudo-siblings, if you will. My actual first name is Kara Lynn, so it's a hyphenated first name. My maiden name is Big Canoe, and that is true. My father is Native Canadian, and you can't get much more Native Canadian than Big Canoe. So as I mentioned, I was raised by my maternal grandparents, and they eventually adopted me. So when I say mother or father, I'm actually referring to my grandparents because that's how I view them. And one of my favorite childhood memories was going to a conservation area with my father. I might have been, 7 or 8 maybe. And the intent was to go fishing, but it ended up raining by the time we got there, and it was raining so hard that we just couldn't do that. And initially I was disappointed, but my dad taught me the beauty of the sound of rain. So we sat in the car, no radio playing, nothing like that, and just listened to the rain and just enjoyed each other's company. And that is just something that I still remember, and it's actually something that I still enjoy today. I love thunderstorms, love rainstorms, love listening to it on the roof. I just love the sound of it, and it's just a treasured memory that I have of my dad. He unfortunately passed away when I was 23. He was diagnosed with cancer on Christmas Eve of 2002, and he passed away July 20th of 2003. Along the same lines, I absolutely love water. I love being in it, I love being around it, I love listening to it, and if I had to choose, I would choose a lake over an ocean any day. As a 2-year-old, I suffered from bacterial meningitis. The doctors thought I was going to die, and yet here I am today. I do think that my shitty immune system is because of the illness, but there's no verifiable proof of that. I've also had appendicitis. When I was 17, I ended up with appendicitis and had to have it removed. They had to do exploratory surgery because my appendix wasn't where it was supposed to be, and it wasn't showing up on an ultrasound. I have one tattoo. It's the word believe on my inner left ankle, and it has a butterfly as well. I do want to get more. I want to get, I haven't figured it out yet, either a circle, like a daisy chain kind of deal, or a bouquet of the birth flowers of myself, my 2 children, and my husband. And I know the artists that I want to do it, but I need their help to conceptualize what it's actually going to look like. As you can see, I do have my ears pierced when I was 20, 21, one of those. I got my tongue pierced and I eventually took it out when I was maybe about 25 years old. I'm not really fussy about piercings. There's really not much that I want, although I wouldn't mind getting another one in my ear somewhere, but I can't commit to where I want it. So I'm just gonna hold off for now. I am 5'9". I come from a family with very tall women, and I'm actually one of the shorter ones in our family. I do have 2 cousins who are over 6 feet tall, and they are both absolutely beautiful. And I think that's where Aspen gets it, because she is over 4 feet tall and she's only 6 years old. She's going to be statuesque. I suppose that would be another fact. I have 2 children. I have a daughter named Aspen who is 6, and I have a son named Bennett who is just over a year old. I met my husband Barry online at lavalife.com way back in the day, 16 years ago, back when it was really embarrassing to say that you met somebody online, like you just didn't lead with that. We were friends for about a year after we initially met. We dated for 6 years and we've now been married for 9. So all told, we've been together as a couple for 15 years. I don't know how he's put up with me. The most terrifying thing in the world to me are spiders. It doesn't matter if they're small, little benign things, they're all plotting my death. That's all there is to it. They horrify me. I probably will never go to like the outback of Australia because there are spiders there that jump, spiders that eat birds. And I just think that's an unnatural abomination and not anything that I ever want to put myself in the path of. Ever. A few other random facts. I am dying to go on a hot air balloon ride. I don't know why, it's just been something I've wanted to do for absolutely years. If anything horrible goes wrong, I'm an organ donor. I was teased mercilessly as a child about my hair. People would call me names, and some shitty little boys at other schools, when I would go for like track meets and stuff like that, they would come up to me and say, hee, my friend Johnny really wants to go out with you, what do you think? And no matter what I said, if I said, tell Johnny to go fuck himself, which I didn't do, but I should have, or if I said, yeah, he looks pretty cute, that sounds good, they would just laugh at me and be like, yeah, we're just kidding. So that was fun. It left its mark, like it really did. High school wasn't bad, people didn't tease me there, but between the grades of like 6 and 8, it was relentless. And it really did leave a mark. It really did make me very self-conscious. I still kind of hold that with me to this day. Not nearly to the degree that I did, but children can be cruel. They really can. And I use it as a learning experience to emit kindness myself and to teach kindness to my kids. I haven't always been kind though. And one of my biggest regrets in life is not being nice to a boy in grade 9 and probably halfway through grade 10. His name is Aaron. He ended up ultimately being one of my absolute best friends, and we're still friends to this day, although he lives in Australia, so we don't get to see each other at all, basically. We did see each other a couple of years ago when he came back to Canada, but prior to that it had been about 10 years. We do still keep in touch, like through email and stuff like that, though. But he was the awkward late bloomer, voice hadn't changed, all of that kind of thing, and people teased him. And although I actually liked him, I was so afraid of other people then turning and teasing me that I just ignored him and tried to distance myself from him. And I regret that to this day, because I missed out on a year and a half of friendship with him, and certainly I could have been a better person. I could have had a kinder heart towards him. Could have said, who the fuck cares what anybody thinks of our friendship, and just being a support in his life at a time where he didn't have that. But if I could go back and if I could do things differently, I absolutely would. I'm just gonna jump all over the place. This is gonna make no rhyme or reason, but it's just facts, so it doesn't really matter if they go in any sort of linear order, right? When I was in my undergraduate, my plan at that time was to become a forensic anthropologist, and all of my studies really focused on that area. And then life came along, my father passed away, and I made different choices. Ultimately, I became a lawyer, and I now own my own firm doing nothing but family law. My ultimate career path is kind of an odd fit because I absolutely hate conflict. However, it's more so direct, like conflict with myself, like between me and somebody else, personal conflict. I don't enjoy that at all. I don't get any sort of thrill out of that. I don't think it's, exciting. I don't like that. However, I can advocate for other people. So when I am doing my job, I'm not necessarily engaged in conflict per se because I'm not fighting with the other lawyer or the other person. I am advocating for my client, and somehow that makes the difference. One of the best things that has come out of my career are the friendships that I've made with other lawyers, but with clients primarily. My absolute best friend in the world, you've heard me talk about her before, her name is Erin. At one point, she and I are going to get our crap together and we're going to film a video together because you will love her. She started off as a client, and ultimately we've become absolute best friends. We're basically sisters. And I do have several other very good friends who started off as clients. As an early teen, oddly enough, I was obsessed with the Titanic. I read a fictional book called There's Something Alive in the Titanic, something like that. I can't remember, and I don't even remember the author. And that sparked my interest in it, and then I just basically devoured every book on the Titanic that I could find. My interest in it has waned over the years, but for a while there, I was a hardcore Titanic fanatic. An odd thing to be obsessed with as like a 14-year-old girl. I don't know. I am capable of playing the flute. I am dying to visit Iceland. It looks absolutely beautiful. Barry thinks I'm nuts. I am going to drag his ass with me because it just looks stunning. The landscapes, it just looks so beautiful that is one place that I have to see before I die. It's a must. It's non-negotiable. Despite actually being rather outgoing when you meet me, I suffer like terrible social anxiety. I am very shy, and I am a classic introvert. Being around people drains me emotionally, and I have to basically recharge for the entire next day after a lot of like social stimulation, like if I go to a party or something like that. And while I'm outgoing one-on-one and can carry conversation, all that kind of thing, if you get like 3+ people in a room, I get too awkward, and I don't enjoy it. I don't like engaging in the conversation, and people can think that means that I'm standoffish or a little bit bitchy, and it's really not. It's just I feel very uncomfortable. I really wish that I could change that about myself, but it's just the way I've always been. I've mentioned it before, I do have a diagnosis of anxiety. I take medication for it. It's just a part of who I am. But one of the coping mechanisms for it is list writing. And the lists don't even have to be anything relevant to anything else. I just enjoy listing things and categorizing things, and it's odd and weird, but it's somehow soothing. So I will list foods, and I will list ideas for videos, or I will list to-dos, and then I will break them down into minute details and just things like that. Like it's sort of like journaling for me, but I don't know, it just brings me like a sense of control over something, even if it's just listing different colors. Like it doesn't even matter what it is, it's just a time filler for me. Some people doodle, I just make lists of whatever I happen to think of in my head. I think going back to the social anxiety part of it, I hate talking on the phone. Ask my clerk. I absolutely, if I can get out of having a phone conversation with somebody, I will. And in fact, when people like call me, especially if they call me on my personal phone, I Google the number before I answer. It's just bizarre, but I do not like talking on the phone, especially if I don't know Like if the name doesn't pop up when they're calling, I am like, who is this? And I have to know who it is before I'll pick it up. And in fact, my ringer is basically never on my personal cell phone because I don't care. If you want to call me, that's too bad. Send me a text. I'm good at texting. I fucking hate talking on the phone. Two more things, although I suspect that we are well over 50 facts. So one is I started doing makeup and started getting into YouTube tutorials and all that kind of thing in late 2012. So I've been playing with my face, if you will, for about 5 years. And prior to that, I basically never wore makeup. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to pick out concealers. I certainly didn't buy foundations or know what contouring was. I didn't even know that was a thing. So I was one who would use like the little sponge applicators and just draw one shadow across my lid. I didn't know there was anything that you would blend out with or anything like that. I credit my abilities with makeup, such as they are, strictly to YouTube, because that is, that's where I learned everything I know and just taught myself and just kept on practicing. Okay, so let's end on potentially a weird note, but that's what this channel's all about. It's just free-flowing thoughts, right? Emus and ostriches freak me out. It's not just because they're giant-ass birds that could run my ass over, but they're big and they don't have arms. And they should have arms. Even if they're just little like T-Rex little stumpy things, they need something just to balance them out. I don't know what it is, but every time I see one, which is not very often, but when I go to the zoo or something like that, they just look odd and I feel really badly for them and they freak me out because they don't have arms. I can literally hear my husband's eyes rolling when he watches this, because I have a lot of these like weird quirky things. I may as well throw in another one. Wendy's hamburgers, won't eat them because they're square. He and I, we don't argue about it, but it's just like an ongoing, he thinks I'm bizarre and nuts, but they're square. And that's unnatural. Cows are not square. It's a weird formation for a burger and I won't eat it simply because it's square. So, on that note, let's wrap this fucker up. Sorry, it's super late and I need to go to bed. So, yeah, leave me a few facts about yourself. Like, give me 3. I want to know 3 facts about you down in the comments below. I don't care what it is. I don't care how weird it is or how mundane. I just want to know more about you guys. So leave me some comments down below, pretty please. I'd love to get to know more about you. And if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. Because that was quite the task. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Just be kind. Alright, bye for now.